Welcome to Mitch-Builds. I'm Mitch. Today, I'm reimagining one of the coolest Bionicle creatures to ever grace the aisles of Toys R Us, Spinax. Honestly, the actual model doesn't live up to the picture I have in my head of this biomechanical hellhound. Let's fix that, and even go a step further by adding some custom lighting. I think the only way to do the original head justice is to reuse it for our revamped Spiky Boy head too. I do want to spruce it up a bit though, so I'll change how his lower jaw is built to accommodate some of these gold zipline parts I love so much. Spinax is an energy hound in the lore, so I want to emphasize that with my reimagining of him. In this case, the gold ziplines are going to help convey the energy flowing through this powerful poocher. And with that spirit, let's add a ton of ziplines to this bar, before connecting it in to Spinax's head with some droid arms. The next thing to upgrade is Spinax's eyes. The original Baraki eyes aren't cutting it for me. My first thought was to use some red hollow studs with this white bar to make for some creepy eyes, but I'm not convinced this is the best option. Maybe something to emphasize that Spinax lives in the depths of Mahi Nui. Some blind deep-sea fish eyes maybe. For that, I'm digging into my bin of balls for some silver ones. At this point, I'm thinking some custom red LED eyes would actually be really cool. And to that effect, I'll use a red half pin so the eyes are red even if the lights are turned off, and then feed this little LED through a flex tube and connect them in. Let's see how this looks with the LED on. I think we have a winner. One last touch I want to add is a little antenna for Spinax. For that, I'll use a minifigure ski pole. I think we'll have to sacrifice a zipline to fit it in, but it's a worthy trade. Next, let's move on to Spinax's body and those energy spines he presumably gets his name from. Instead of reusing the flexible spikes Spinax originally came with, I want to instead use this spine part from the Bionicle Rakshi. It's a bit more subtle, and will allow me to keep the spikes concentrated around Spinax's shoulders. In order to attach this spine, I need to build up a Technic skeleton, starting with some Hero Factory bones, a Hero Factory leg armor, and some Technic beams for strength. I like how the opening of this leg piece makes for a nice armored neck joint. The spikes should fit nicely on top of this assembly. I just need to add some more Technic to make that happen. Now I'll just test fit the head and make sure that I'm on the right track. Nice. To build up Spinax's deep, wolf-like chest, I have an idea to attach this car steering part. And then, build up this Bionicle part with some Technic panels, before connecting it with a small ball joint. To keep this from flopping around too much, I'll use some of these red hoses. I'll bend them around so they follow the existing contour we're working with. I've got this cool technique of threading one by one Technic beams onto this hose, where you can catch a nice glimpse of the red behind the silver. Next, for some fun little greeblies, I found this nice reveal where a hose peeks out from behind this weird Lego part. Next, I'm threading this chest plate onto the hoses. And now I just need to figure out a way to properly attach the armor. A couple of Technic parts come to my rescue there. I have a problem. This current waist joins a little high up. So instead of changing it, I'm just going to cap it off and add another one a little lower down. Which of course is all according to my master plan. I'll add some more gold cables for two reasons. One, so that he screams Energy Hound, and two, so that this spine stops flopping around. I think it's finally time to connect our spiky pal's head, and find a place for the rest of these cables to attach. I'm not sure if Bionicles have hearts, or oil pumps, or what, but whatever they have, I'm thinking this squishy part will be great for Spinax's. Here, I'm going to use a super advanced technique, where I just hope it doesn't fall out. The rubber tire adds at least a bit more friction. His legs will also cover most of this area, so hopefully it stays put. Speaking of which, for Spinax's legs, I'm going to use these big Bionicle parts, and a bunch of ball sockets, so we can get the required mobility. Testing it out, I really don't like how much these textures here clash, so instead, I made a poor financial decision and bought some more Spinax heads to use as shoulders. The upside is that by repeating the same part, it helps the whole model look cohesive. For his lower legs, I'm starting out with a Robo-Rider head and some Technic bits. Next, I want to attach this Knight's shin pad. Some more Technic can help us connect that in. For his wrist joint, I'm going to repurpose those unused chrome eyeballs. I like to use 2 ball joints for elbows so that there's a better range of motion, so I'll sandwich them between some Technic cams. Next, since he's a Bionicle, I'll raid my gear bin for a decorative gear. Here you can see the range of motion that I can get using these 2 ball joints. Next up, I'm adding in more wire details with these silver zip lines and an Indiana Jones whip part. A couple more details can round out the elbow joint. I'll also add a decorative piston, since all the coolest Bionicles seem to have them. Next, I'm moving on to the feet. I'll add some claws. On second thought, I'm going to flip these barbs around so that they sit a bit better. Now, I'm adding some more connection points for a couple more creepy toes. Then I'll build up another decorative little piston for his ankle, which completes his front leg. Let's see if Spinax wants to try his luck as a bipedal energy hound. It actually looks pretty cool just like that. What I think would make him look better though is more spikes. And to attach these, I'll use another groundbreaking technique I've just developed and just wedge them behind these hoses. For his hind legs, I'll use some familiar parts to make sure that he's visually consistent. The lower legs and feet are nearly identical, so let's just speed build our way through that. Now, for the next leg section, I'm using some Technic lift arms, a ball joint, and a snot brook. Then I'll give him another decorative Bionicle gear, before connecting this in to the lower leg. For the upper legs, my poor financial decisions continue with another set of Spinax heads. I'll use some Technic parts to provide the structure. The Rakshi part here has a similar texture to the Spinax heads, so I'll use my favorite connection method for them with a half pin, an open stud, a 3-long bar, and a robot hand. Next, I'll connect this in to the rest of the leg, before building out some more pistons for these hind legs. I'll add the same cables that his front legs already have. And, with the power of editing, I now have 2 legs. I think they'll look the part once they're attached, but I need to figure out how they attach. For that, I'll build up a little Bionicle and Technic assembly using these chest plates. I'll just tuck this hose in here to complete the look. For Spinax's tail, I'll use this LEGO Star Wars gun part, connect in a bunch of Technic bits, and this large spike. I want to continue the same red and silver pattern I have on his shoulders, here, on his hips, so I'm using another flexible red hose and threading a bunch of 1x1 Technic beams onto it. With that, I'll attach his tail in, and clip the hose into the open eye socket of these Spinax head parts. Then, for good measure, I'll add in some more gold wires. One last touch I'll add is his chain collar, before moving on to figuring out the lighting. For his eyes, I'll use some long thin wires, which I'll cut to length. Then, I can thread his eye LEDs in, before heating up my soldering iron before releasing this magic smoke and making a joint between the wires and LEDs. With that done, his eyes light up and I have enough wire to hide the battery box away. To further emphasize how much of an energy hound this boy is, I have this EL wire, which, if I can plug this connector in, will light up, but remain nice and flexible. I'll stuff a bunch of this into his robot heart before embarking on the painful task of threading the wire through his body so that it looks good. With all that out of the way, it's time for the beauty shots. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one. But until then, happy building.